Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike O'Malley here with the off-season edition of the Hurricane Outlook and Discussion for July 17th, 2021, recorded around 2:18 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, taking a look here at the sea surface temperature anomalies across the Atlantic and Eastern Pacific Basin, we can see that again, not a lot has changed over the past couple of weeks here. More than notably, we continue to have a very strong presence of this La Nina signature, especially in the Nino 3-4 region. And a lot of that is attributed to a very strong easterly wind event that has been occurring over the last several weeks across this part of the equatorial Pacific. And that is expected to continue for at least the next several weeks. So this La Nina pattern is still firmly in place at the moment. Now, if you look further back out towards the east, closer towards the Nino 1 and 2 regions out here, closer towards South America, we start to get some warmer anomalies, and that's because right over here, this is mainly where the warmest temperatures are at the surface and even below the surface. And again, we've been talking about this for the last several weeks that this La Nina event is mostly represented at the surface. This is a surface phenomenon, basically. There is nothing really supporting the cooler waters at a significant depth. And this La Nina is expected to continue to kind of wax and wane over the next several months. But again, this is the area where we've started to see some warming over the last several weeks here. But again, the Nino 3-4 region, which is kind of more that firmly that place where we look towards for a traditional La Nina or El Nino, again, firmly in that La Nina kind of category at the moment. And then on the contrast here, if we look over at the Atlantic and especially the main development region of the Atlantic, we are still running several degrees above the long-term average in this particular area. And again, I mean, in some cases, we're running about a half a degree to a degree Celsius above the long-term average. And while it's only July 17th at the moment, if this continues to persist into February, March, and April, we might have a real problem on our hands by the time we get into July or, June into July and beyond that, if this type of pattern continues to persist. And certainly there has been some signals of, again, a busy hurricane season, for this upcoming hurricane season. Now, whether or not that really happens or not, materializes, there's a lot of unknowns at the moment, but we're definitely getting better at these longer range signals. And I think it's becoming increasingly important to kind of keep monitoring them as we grow closer and closer. We are under, 4.5 months to go, I believe, until the start of the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season. So it's very important to kind of keep that in mind here. And then again, another thing is this very dominant area of greater anomalies out here, these warmer than normal anomalies, in some cases, 4 to 5, 6 degrees Celsius above the long term average out here. And all this does is basically promote this big ridge of high pressure that's out here close towards the Bermuda area. And, this becomes that subtropical ridge in the spring, summer, and fall months. And again, these storms, that come off of Africa, they can't really turn out here. So they continue further west. And we saw a lot of those this past season where a lot of these waves just came on rolling through within the lower latitudes, and not a lot of them spared land. So it's something that we're going to have to watch as we get closer towards this upcoming hurricane season. Now, a way to kind of represent this graphically with the La Nina pattern that we're in is looking at the CDAS methodology. Again, it's just a different way of measuring, just a different kind of measurement, different type of climatology system that they use. But this is from Levi Collins tropicaltidbits.com. And again, this goes, what I like about this is that this shows a multi-month period to really kind of grasp the full understanding of what's going on. We were, again, this is October. This goes all the way back, past October 25th. So this is, probably closer towards October 15th here. This is October 25th. And we can see that during that time, we have been in this La Nina threshold all the way along here. Again, the 0.5 range is roughly where we look towards. I'm just trying to draw a straight line as possible. But that right there, that zero point 0.5 line is on either end is the La Nina and El Nino thresholds. And that's very important because what you'll notice is that this blue line here representing where, where we are, where we have been, and where we are now. This basically has shown us that we've been in a definitely in that La Nina for quite some time, really since the beginning of the peak of the hurricane season last year. And today's daily contributor is negative 1.058, and below average. So that's certainly something that we're going to have to keep in mind. Now, if we compare that to the Atlantic basin here, again, the Atlantic has been running above average for a multitude of months, dating all the way back towards October 15th and running now through January 17th at 1 a.m. this morning. And again, today's value, it's, positive 3.89. Now, you can see that we've taken certainly a pretty significant dip here in the last several weeks. We've definitely come down here, at a more rapid pace. But if you kind of follow where we are, we're still maintaining above that positive 0.2% or zero point 0.2 Celsius. So we're still well above that at the moment. Again, we're closer towards zero point 0.4 above the long term average. So this is certainly something that weighs heavily into what could be upcoming. And if this maintains the overall pattern through the remainder of the winter and spring months, then we get into summer and fall, and we're still dealing with this. This could be a big yikes moment out there. But again, not trying to scare anybody or whatever, but that's just where we are right now in kind of the state of the overall pattern. Now, something that did kind of come out a couple of days ago was the early January 2021 CPC and IRI official the probabilistics for the ENSO forecasts. And again, we were talking about how, later in towards this year, we could be seeing that La Nina kind of fade off. Now, again, we've certainly seen the La Nina chances. Again, this is basically December, January, and February. And this is January, February, March. So we're right in here at the moment. And again, we have about a 95% chance of a La Nina, which again, we're in, and expected to continue to remain in that through probably April. Now, by the time we get out to March, April, and May, we start to basically slip the numbers under 60%. But again, look at this kind of gray bar here. This is neutral conditions. This is the neutral probabilistic. And if we go out to August, September, and October this is basically the peak of the hurricane season out here, August, September, October. And we see that the El Nino forecast is under 20%. It's about 15% for the overall forecast. And La Nina threshold probabilistic is right about 45%. Now, again, there's a lot of things that can change between now and then, and I want to emphasize that this is not a lock, but this is what the forecast models are predicting. And it really seems that we are going to be running in a kind of a neutral or maybe cool neutral by the time we get into the peak of the hurricane season. And again, that has a lot of implications going forward, but I put a big emphasis on this. Again, it's January 17th, not August 17th. So we have a lot of time left, and nothing is set in stone until things are actually happening in real time. But again, we're getting better at these. So there's some validity in this forecast, but I'm not ready to make this a home run forecast for next year's hurricane season, let alone make any numbers or predictions. As y'all know, that will come out closer, towards, April, May, June, etc. That's when those numbers will start coming out. And we're not that far away from that. Again, we are not that far away from hurricane season starting traditionally in the Atlantic. We are only about 4.5 months, I believe, away from that happening, or maybe a little bit more. So, again, we're not that far off. As far as the CFS forecast model, this is the CFS version 2, the sea surface temperature anomalies, valid for February, March, and April of this year, 2021. Again, you can see this very present La Nina pattern continuing in the Atlantic basin And that kind of maintains itself through August, September, and October. The Atlantic becomes relatively warm. We establish kind of this very warm pattern out here in the subtropics, and that certainly has some emphasis towards maybe a bigger ridge of high pressure, sending storms further west. Again, there's a lot of unknowns into that, but this is what the model is predicting. Again, but if you take the model so seriously, you're going to run into problems where it's the forecast is not going to be valid. You're not going to know why the forecast didn't validate and didn't come to fruition if you're just kind of solely focusing on the models. So what I would say is, what we're going to be doing, especially for me here and others, really our go-to weapons right now are going to be looking at these sea surface temperature anomalies. These are updated every day. They're a day behind, so this one was excuse me, I cannot talk today. January is the 16th, but um, they update every day. They're a day behind, so these are going to be what we're going to kind of go off on for the next several months, and this is what we're really going to look at. We have a lot of other variabilities that we've got to look at as well, but for the most part, again, these are kind of our tools. And so far, the CFS forecast has validated fairly well. If we actually go back to January 10th, again, we could see that this has a consistent forecast for the most part, either, kind of this cool neutral or La Nina phase. So, again, there's a lot of things that we got to, kind of keep on top of over the next several days and, several weeks and months. And of course, we will do that here. I thank you tuning in for today. Again, I hope you all have a great rest of your afternoon, evening. This is Michael O'Malley. I'll talk to you guys again some more later.